welcome to the SVG-TV News for Monday, May 18th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is among 7 Caribbean countries which will receive emergency loans totaling $67 million from the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, to help with their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, the CDB approved loans of $11.3 million to SVG, $13 million to Antigua Barbuda, $15 million to Belize, $2.5 million to Dominica, $5.9 million to Grenada, $10.8 million to St. Lucia, and $8.2 million to Suriname. CDB President Dr. Warren Smith said the provision of support to the 7 countries to respond to COVID-19 and keep critical government services and operations running is urgent to halt the economic decline and minimize social hardship while giving focused attention to the most vulnerable people. The bank said the emergency loans made under the CDB's most concessional terms will provide vital liquidity and increase government's fiscal space to allow these countries to promptly meet their urgent financing needs without diverting resources away from critical social expenditures or health emergency needs. A PCR machine which will enable SVG to conduct in-country testing for COVID-19 is now in the state. Let's take that again. A PCR machine which will enable SVG to conduct in-country testing for COVID-19 is now in the state and is expected to be ready for use by the middle of this week. Health Minister Luke Brown, who announced the arrival of the equipment via his official Facebook page on Friday night, said the shipment of the machine was delayed in the USA for reasons beyond the control of the government. Brown had announced in March that the government had placed an order for the machine, which allows for in-country testing. The shipment of that item had been delayed since then. SVG has been sending samples for testing to the Caribbean Public Health Agency CARFA laboratory in Trinidad and Tobago. In an earlier interview with SVG-TV News, Minister Brown said the country is expecting at least 4 machines altogether, 2 from the International Atomic Energy Agency and 2 from the government of Taiwan. Taiwan on Friday handed over their 2 PCR machines and a number of other medical supplies to SVG's resident ambassador in Taiwan, Andrea Bowman. Minister of Education Sinclair Jimmy Prince is confident that the reopening of schools on Monday, May 25th in a phased manner will be safe for students and teachers. The minister, who was on radio this morning, also assured parents that the plan for the reopening of schools was well put together with input from all stakeholders. Those who will be turning out to school on Monday will be 5th formers, 6th graders, and technical students who all have 1 month to prepare for their regional examinations. The education minister said all will be set for classes to commence for these students on Monday, following guidelines by the World Health Organization.
So right now, we are ready. We have engaged BRACSA. BRACSA is going through, but I have gone through all the schools with the Ministry of Health, done the assessments, and they are to put in some stations, hand washing stations, sinks, fixing the plumbing in the bathrooms and all the schools that you have this problem, to ensure that the hygiene part of the return, the protocols, would be in a way where we can say, all right, it is safe for the children to return. So we have been doing that, and we have also been cleaning. We have engaged the janitors in all the schools. Before, some janitors used to just send somebody to do some cleaning in the afternoon after school, and that's it. But now we are doing it more systematically. Some janitors would remain on the school compound all day to clean.
The Ministry of Education has procured gloves and masks for its janitorial staff with limited stock for students and teachers. Lunch will be provided for the grade 6 students. Minister Prince outlined other measures taken for physical distancing and how teaching will be carried out in the classrooms.
On 5 level, I encourage to bring lunch, and this is to ensure that you don't have to run up and down the place looking for lunch. This is to limit the social gathering thing. Schools are asked to have flexible breaks. Of course, this is necessary. you wouldn't let everybody come out of the school at the same time, so that they would not have that appreciation for social distancing. Students doing particular subject disciplines will be required to be present only when those subjects are being taught. So even if we have a whole Form 5, you wouldn't find everybody coming to school at the same time. Teachers are advised to use auditoriums and open spaces, which I mentioned before, as to conduct classes and practicing physical distancing. Staff and students will be asked to remain at home and report if they are displaying flu symptoms. Vulnerable staff and students with underlying health challenges as reported by a medical practitioner will be required to be engaged in the virtual classroom, ensuring that we have these stands and that the plumbing is okay, so that we have enough water, running water, for students and teachers to use.
As it relates to transportation for the students, the Education Minister said before this week is out, an announcement will be made in this regard, while noting that masks must be worn by students.
Will be required to wash their hands when entering classes or any place in the school. Parents are asked to assist with providing hand sanitizers and face masks for students to use when commuting to school. So we're asking everybody to take part, to come on board and to help out in this way, going to schools in town. So we're going to have these buses on the road. Right now, the Ministry of Education is consulting with the Ministry of Transport for us to get these buses running. You'll hear more about this as to which routes would have buses. Maybe by the end of the week, you'll know that.
Security guards for schools are also expected to resume duty on Monday, May 25th. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says that there is an overwhelming support for the reopening of schools in a phased manner. On a radio program yesterday, the Prime Minister noted that he has listened to the people and can understand their concerns.
Majority of parents and teachers amounting to almost unanimity that they want to get back to the classroom. And of course, in the primary schools, there are a number of children who the parents want to get them back in school because, you know, you have about 70% of the students across the country who get the school who are on the school feeding program. In every school, of course, there are substantial numbers, some 50%, others 80, 85, 90, 100% for all practical purposes. So there are many reasons. And the objective situation, what we have here.
The Prime Minister said so far he is pleased with the measures taken for the reopening of schools. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to new modalities in the teaching and learning environment and has forced some persons in the education sector here to embrace technology and e-learning. This was pointed out by IT professional David Brown on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last evening.
Look at the culture in St. Vincent and the culture towards education and the technology. You'll find that many people say, no, I rather see the teacher. I rather go in a classroom. And so the cultural aspect of things have made us not embrace the technology and use it regarding the education because the market did not want to use it for the most part. So what COVID has done is made people drop that fear of the technology when it comes to education. Because we have it when it comes to education, but we don't necessarily have it when it comes to talking our personal business, socializing. So we love Facebook for socialize, we love Instagram, we love TikTok, we love these things, for social aspect of life. But when it comes to education, we tend to rock back into the traditional means. COVID-19 and the fact that the world is staying home and practicing social distancing has made people drop that little fear of technology with respect to education.
HR and education consultant Dr. Janelle Allen said while some teachers, parents and students have adapted to the new modalities of the learning and teaching environment, there are a lot of them who are facing challenges.
Is our teachers, students and parents really prepared to embrace what COVID has forced us to now have to embrace? Yes, the technologies have always been there. So, for instance, the access has been there. Persons have always had access to electronic content. Many teachers would have completed their studies online, so they're familiar with online modes of learning. But to actually be in the position of an instructor, having to develop content, make it exciting and engaging, and then relevant for different age ranges, because remember, our teachers don't just teach Form 5 or Form 1 or Grade 6. Some of them, they're all over the place. And so what they've had to do now is come up with engaging, interesting content in a very, very short space of time under pressure. So you have a lot of issues coming up in terms of their familiarity with the software. Some of them are not familiar with software that's being used. Others are nervous because there's that human element that we seem to be forgetting, that people are not very comfortable with something they're not sure of, and as a teacher, how could I not be in control of my learning space?
Educator Philbert John said while he acknowledges some of the challenges faced, he is heartened at how persons are trying to adapt to the new way of learning.
Transition was almost instantaneous in our case, because when we, and I'm speaking of as a person in the system actually working with parents and students every day since this event, when we started the initiative, in a short space of time, we had parents and students locked down. And we had parents visiting the school to find out, how can I get on? Okay. And once that was explained to them, you check their on. So if we talk about readiness, meaning having the infrastructure, the physical devices, etc., that was challenging. But in terms of the mindset to move on, I would say all people were ready. Okay.
In a special message broadcast today on Facebook, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonzalez acknowledged Vincentians in the diaspora and told them that they have not been forgotten during this time of COVID-19 and that he empathized and sympathized with those who have lost loved ones to the virus.
This is a time when we have to be creative, we have to be calm, we have to be very thoughtful. This is not a time for falsehoods. It's not a time for unnecessary divisiveness. This is the time when we must listen to the health authorities, and you in particular in the United States of America. You know, it's better when you listen to the health authorities than to listen to certain politicians. This message I extend to all in the diaspora, Canada, to Europe, the United Kingdom, Caribbean, those on the cruise ships, the oil rigs, and to say that we're working very hard for those Vincentians who want to come home, particularly those from the cruise ships, the oil rigs and students.
Slain police officer Filbert Chambers, Sergeant of Police 209, who lost his life in the line of duty, will have a scholarship named after him, among other accolades. This was announced at the officer's funeral service on Sunday at the Barrowley Hard Court by Commissioner of Police Colin John. Commissioner John said Chambers was a dedicated member of the RSVG police force who deserves to be remembered for generations to come.
In his memory, the DCP and I, we have spoken and we have decided that a scholarship would be named in his honor as part of the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. Additionally, a plaque with his photo would be placed at the sentry post at the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Central Police Station. We are also in consultation and would speak to the relevant authorities as regard it to retire the number 209 so that no other police officer would ever get that number.
Commissioner John said Chambers was also a fearless officer who outshone many of his senior officers, that is, in the police force, and encouraged them to follow in his footsteps.
Was a hero. He paid the ultimate price. He literally gave his life for the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force and for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I just want to say thanks to his parents for giving us this hard-working, professional, dedicated worker. To the members of the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force, I just want to ask you to emulate a lot of these attributes from Sergeant Chambers.
Other glowing tributes for the slain officer came from relatives and colleagues.
So you could hear the station phone ring and he said, babes are going out on duty now. I say, okay. And then when after I was there, I have a little shop where I sell a vegetable market. And then while I was there, I heard all the shots go off. Everybody I rung. I say, hey there. I say, boy, somebody gone, boy, somebody family gone. Them they connect, but poor me didn't know it's in my home. It connect to. When I was there, I received the call from a police officer. I said, no, I now spoke to Chambers. And then he said, yes, Inspector now call him and tell him Chambers get shot. And then I drove to the station. At the time, I find myself driving, drove in the middle of the road. And then I stop and take a grip at myself. And then I journey my way to the station.
He was the ideal template of a police officer. He was a marriage of investigation and operational. His love for policing transcended the hard approach as evidenced by his involvement in the police youth club. He loved children and took a keen interest in their well-being.
Was a Chambers, a Bob, and a Bramble. I repeat Bramble because there was a man by the name of James Bramble, an old sergeant.
Sergeant Chambers lost his life on April 26th while serving a warrant at a house in the Camden Park area. The alleged shooter was also killed in the incident. Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the shooting death of Orma Jomo Dalloway, a 40-year-old laborer of New Montrose. A police news release states that at about 2 a.m. yesterday, police were alerted to a report describing Dalloway's body lying motionless on the grounds of the Faith Temple Church at New Montrose. When the police responded, the body was found with what appeared to be a gunshot wound in the chest area. Dalloway was later pronounced dead by the district medical officer. A post-mortem examination is expected to be conducted on the body of the deceased to ascertain the cause of death. The police are seeking information from the general public that will aid with the investigation, arrest, and prosecution of the offender or offenders. Persons are asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crime at 456-1339 or the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department at 456-1810 or any police officer or station that persons are comfortable with. All information will be treated confidentially. Come out of your comfort zones and seize the opportunities being made available. This encouragement comes from Minister of Agriculture Soboto Caesar as he highlighted some of the opportunities being made available to young persons through the Promoting Youth Micro Enterprises Prime program. Around 80 young persons have been approved for funding to start their own business under the Prime program. The first batch of successful applicants is expected to receive their grant monies at a ceremony tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Conference Room. The Agriculture Minister encouraged those who would like to benefit from the Prime program to be innovative with their business ideas.
Who were working, you may have been working in the tourism sector and you don't have a job because of the external shock. What the government is saying is that there's a Prime program. Come up with a creative idea as to how you could eat the food. If you're over 40, there's a Prime Plus program as to how you could eat the food. Come out of your comfort zone. If you used to sleep for 10 hours, sleep for less. Because at this point in time, 784 SVG, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have to rise up.
The Agriculture Minister said one area which continues to show promise is livestock production and called for all hands to be on deck.
Livestock. Right now we have an order for $20 million worth of goat meat to send to Trinidad and Tobago, and we can't send a pound.
Meat?
Yeah, goat,
right.
goat. And that is something we have to work on. But if you put a lot of effort into livestock, a lot of the lands that you wanted to use for something else, something has to give, as they say, because the land is finite. The labor, we could bring persons into work, but at the end of the day, Fuji, as we come to the final half an hour of this program,
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Wow.
We need all hands on deck.
Definitely.
I didn't come here to talk about NDP or Unity Labour Party. I'm here to talk about progress and development.